Kelso. It's gonna be so bad.
Everyone remembers hanging out in the basement, the circle, the burn, Kelso getting hit in the face. That 70s show was one of the defining sitcoms of an entire generation. It ran for 8 seasons, launched some of the biggest careers in Hollywood, and made a small town in Wisconsin feel like the center of the universe. But behind that laugh track and those bell bottoms was a production slowly eating itself alive. Jealousy, ego, alleged crimes, network meddling, and a cast that by the end could barely stand to be in the same room together. Hi, my name is Aaron, and this is Old TV Cinema, where we pull back the curtain on the shows you grew up loving and find out what was really going on. And trust me, what was really going on here is a lot. So grab a chair, pull it into the circle, and let's talk about the rise, the chaos, and the ugly, ugly fall of that 70s show. The birth of the show. Let's go back to 1994. Fox is still the scrappy underdog network. They've got Married with Children, The Simpsons, and not a whole lot else to brag about. They need content. They need hits. And 2 writers named Mark Brazil and Bonnie and Terry Turner, yes, the same Turners behind Third Rock from the Sun, come in with a pitch. A show set in the 1970s about a group of teenagers in Point Place, Wisconsin, just hanging out, getting into trouble, and figuring out life. No aliens, no puppets, no high concept, just kids in a basement. Fox said yes, which honestly tracks. Fox has always had a soft spot for shows that sound like they shouldn't work. The show premiered on August 23rd, 1998. And look, the early reception was not exactly a standing ovation. Critics were cautiously optimistic. Audiences were mildly interested. The ratings were decent, but not explosive. It wasn't an instant phenomenon. What it was, though, was a slow burn. And appropriately enough for a show about the 1970s, it took a little time to find its groove. The cast they assembled was, in retrospect, almost unreasonably talented for a show this low budget. Topher Grace as Eric Foreman, the skinny, sarcastic everyman at the center of it all. Mila Kunis as Jackie Burkhart, the rich girl nobody wanted but everybody ended up loving. Ashton Kutcher as Kelso, the beautiful idiot. Danny Masterson as Hyde, the cool rebel in the corner. Laura Prepon as Donna, the girl next door, and Wilmer Valderrama as Fez, the foreign exchange student whose home country was never, ever specified. Inspired choice by the writers, by the way. And then there were the adults. Kurtwood Smith as Red Foreman, delivering what might be the greatest sitcom dad performance of the 1990s. The man made the phrase dumbass into a love language. And Deborah Jo Rupp as Kitty, his endlessly cheerful wife who laughed nervously at everything and somehow made that a complete character arc. The Golden Era. For the first few seasons, everything was working. The chemistry was real, the writing was sharp. The show found its identity in the circle scenes, those top-down rotating shots of the kids sitting around in the basement that everyone immediately understood meant something was being passed around, even if Fox never showed it directly. Smart, funny, just edgy enough. By season 2 and season 3, the ratings were climbing. The show was pulling in 15 to 20 million viewers regularly. It was anchoring Fox's schedule on Tuesday nights, then Thursday nights, which, if you know anything about the Thursday night sitcom wars of the late 90s and early 2000s, that is not a small thing. NBC owned Thursday. Fox was putting that 70s show in the arena and holding its own. The cast was becoming genuinely famous. Ashton Kutcher was on magazine covers. Mila Kunis was getting movie offers. Topher Grace, who was being positioned as the breakout star, the face of the show, was being mentioned in the same breath as the young Tom Hanks. I know, high praise! And for a moment there, it felt like this was going to be one of those rare shows where everything goes right. The cast becomes legends. The show runs its natural course. Everyone shakes hands and goes on to brilliant careers. A feel-good story for the ages. It was not a feel-good story for the ages. The cracks begin. The first crack, and it's a big one, was Ashton Kutcher. See, here's the thing about casting an extraordinarily good-looking person in a supporting role on your television show. Sometimes the world decides they are, in fact, the star. And the world decided that about Ashton Kutcher around season 3. Punk'd launched on MTV in 2003, and suddenly Kutcher wasn't just Kelso, the lovable idiot on a Fox sitcom. He was Ashton Kutcher, celebrity, media personality, guy who pranks people on television. His profile was exploding outside the show in a way that Topher Grace's simply wasn't. And sources from the production have consistently said that this created a tension on set that never really went away. Topher Grace was the lead. The show was built around Eric Foreman. Topher knew it, the writers knew it, Fox knew it, but audiences were increasingly tuning in for Kelso. And in Hollywood, there is nothing quite as uncomfortable as a supporting actor who is more famous than your lead. Nothing. I've never experienced it personally, but I imagine it feels terrible. Grace reportedly became increasingly difficult as the seasons went on. Multiple former crew members and cast-adjacent sources have described a set where the initial warmth of the early years had curdled into something more complicated. The easy, natural chemistry you saw on screen was, by the middle seasons, requiring significantly more work to produce. And all the while, Ashton Kutcher kept getting bigger. Bigger movies, bigger press, bigger everything. Then in season 8, both Topher Grace and Ashton Kutcher left the show. And here is where it gets almost comedically bad. You cannot end that 70s show without Eric Foreman. That is not a thing you can do. Eric is the center of gravity. The whole show orbits him. Removing Topher Grace from that 70s show is like removing the basement from that 70s show. But Fox wasn't ready to call it quits, so they tried to fill the void with the new characters, including one played by Josh Myers, and look, I'm not going to be cruel about it, but audiences were not interested. The magic was gone. Danny Masterson, The Dark Cloud.
There she is. She loves sex in a car. It stinks like cheese.
And then there is Danny Masterson. And this is where the story stops being about Hollywood ego and starts being about something much darker. Masterson played Hyde for all 8 seasons. The cool guy, the philosopher of the group, the one with the sunglasses and the record collection. And for years, there were whispered allegations against him in Hollywood circles. Multiple women came forward accusing Masterson of sexual assault, allegations spanning back to the early 2000s. The accusations were, according to reporting by outlets like The Hollywood Reporter, known in certain circles long before they became public. Masterson was a prominent member of the Church of Scientology, and several accusers alleged that the church had pressured them not to go to the police. The LAPD opened an investigation in 2017. He was formally charged in 2022, and in 2023, Danny Masterson was convicted of 2 counts of rape and sentenced to 30 years to life in prison. And here is the thing that hangs over the entire legacy of that 70s show. The people who worked alongside him for years, the cast, the crew, Fox, they have all had to reckon with what they knew, what they didn't know, and what questions should have been asked sooner. Laura Prepon, Mila Kunis, and others have made public statements distancing themselves and expressing support for the survivors. That chapter of the show's history doesn't have a clean ending. It shouldn't. The Wilmer Valderrama problem.
I know, and I'm sorry. It's just, before now I wasn't ready.
Now, let's talk about Wilmer Valderrama, because this story has several uncomfortable threads, and he is one of them. Fez was a breakout character. Funny. Weirdly charming. Valderrama milked it for everything it was worth, which is fair, that's the job. But off-screen, Valderrama developed a reputation that raised eyebrows. He infamously went on The Howard Stern Show in 2006 and made a series of comments about his relationships with famous women that were, to put it generously, deeply inappropriate. He discussed the personal details of those relationships in a way that multiple women, including some he had dated, found humiliating and violating. He later apologized. But the pattern of behavior it pointed to, a guy who used his sudden celebrity in ways that were careless at best and exploitative at worst, added another uncomfortable layer to the behind-the-scenes portrait of this show. And by the way, Mila Kunis, who had been on the show since she was 14 years old. Etso has talked in various interviews about navigating a set where she was the youngest cast member by some distance. She lied about her age in her audition, saying she would be 18, and technically she was right. She just didn't specify that 18 was still a few years away. She was hired at 14, The fact that she had to navigate that environment as a teenager surrounded by adults, some of whom we now know behave badly, is worth sitting with. The Fox interference and network chaos. Meanwhile, Fox was doing what Fox does, which is meddle. The show got shuffled around the schedule with the kind of frequency that would make NBC's treatment of Third Rock from the Sun look positively stable. It moved from Tuesday to Sunday to Wednesday, and back again, depending on what Fox was trying to prop up or counter-program. Every time the audience found it, there was a very real risk Fox would move it again. It's a miracle the ratings held as long as they did. And the network kept pushing for more Kelso, more catchphrases, more baby-friendly content. Sound familiar? It's the same note Disney kept sending to the dinosaurs writers. Networks have been making this exact mistake since television was invented, and they have not gotten tired of it yet. More baby, more catchphrase, less soul. Every time. The writers pushed back where they could, but by the later seasons, with the cast fracturing and the ratings sliding, the creative energy that had made the early seasons so good was running on fumes. The mass exodus.
Man, you're not seriously coming to dinner tonight, are you?
Why shouldn't I? Jackie broke up.
By season 7, Topher Grace had made his decision. He was leaving. He wanted to do movies. He had been positioning himself as a film star for a couple of seasons, appearing in Spider-Man 3 as Venom, which, and I say this with love, was not the career launcher anyone was hoping for. But he was gone. He committed to leaving after season 7. And rather than end the show with him, Fox ordered season 8 anyway. Ashton Kutcher also departed. The two biggest names on the call sheet, both gone, and the show limped through its final season like a car with two flat tires. The new characters didn't land. The remaining cast did their best. And credit to Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp, who remained professional and committed right to the end. Red Foreman deserved better. He really did. The series finale aired on May 18, 2006. It brought Topher Grace and Ashton Kutcher back for the final episode, which was something at least. The gang counted down to midnight on New Year's Eve 1979, toasting the end of the decade and, without quite saying it out loud, the end of everything. It was fine. It was not the triumphant send-off the early seasons had earned. Life after the basement. Life after Point Place was complicated for almost everyone involved. Ashton Kutcher went on to 2.5 Men after Charlie Sheen's exit, which is a whole other video, and later became a successful tech investor. Not a bad second act, all things considered. Mila Kunis built a genuinely impressive film career. Bad Moms, Forgetting Sarah Marshall, and later married Ashton Kutcher, which means two people from that 70s show got married to each other. And somehow, that feels very on brand for this show. Topher Grace bounced around, in never quite finding the movie stardom he'd left for, but has had solid work in Black Klansman and other projects. Laura Prepon had a significant second act on Day for Orange's The New Black. Wilmer Valderrama joined the cast of NCIS and has been there ever since. Good for him, and Danny Masterson is in prison. That 90s show and the legacy question. In 2023, Netflix launched That 90s Show, a revival set in the same Point Place basement, this time following the next generation of teens with Red and Kitty still holding down the house. Kurtwood Smith and Deborah Jo Rupp came back, and honestly, they are still wonderful. The original cast popped in for cameos, everyone except Masterson obviously. The show is fine, charming in places. It captures some of the warmth of the original. But the thing about that 70s show was that it was a specific group of specific people in a specific moment, and you cannot manufacture that twice. Lightning doesn't restrike the basement. The legacy of that 70s show is genuinely complicated. At its best, it was warm, funny, and captured something true about being young and stuck and figuring it out. The early seasons hold up. The circle scenes still make you laugh. Red Foreman is still one of the great sitcom characters in television history. Dumbass. But the behind-the-scenes story is a reminder that television is made by human beings, and human beings are messy, flawed, sometimes genuinely harmful, and occasionally sentenced to 30 years in prison. The show that felt like hanging out in a friend's basement was, on the other side of the camera, evolved something considerably less comfortable. That is the real story of That 70s Show. And unlike the finale, I'm not going to pretend the decade ended on a happy note. If you enjoyed this deep dive, give the video a like and subscribe to Old